Hey folks, Zach Osterman here, IU Insider, Indianapolis Star. Obviously, I am not in Ann Arbor tonight. Zion Brown and Mike Nislik made the trip with me. I watched with Mo the puppy. He's right over there. He's made an appearance in some of these videos, but by his current visage, I don't think he's going to be in this one. Talking about Indiana 78, Michigan 75. Forgive me, I have the final box score up here on my monitor, so I'm going to be looking above the camera for a lot of this. A very good win for Indiana, I think it's fair to say. The Hoosiers didn't always look great. They had 10 turnovers in the first half. They were only 3 of 9 from behind the three-point line. I think that's something that fans are going to have to get used to. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good thing, but I think it's something that fans are going to have to get used to. I don't think this team is going to be a prolific three-point shooting or three-point making team anytime soon. But 58-22 on points in the paint. I think crucially 28-25 on bench points. Indiana's bench shot 11 of 18 by my math in this game, and really, especially in the first half, but a little bit in the second too, really carried this team when, as any team will do, this team hit some offensive lulls, a couple 2-3 minute scoring droughts. I think they got maybe a little bit overblown. You score 78 points on the road in the Big Ten. Frankly, you didn't have a bad offensive night. But, Indiana was 27-51 on twos. And when you talk about 7 assists on 30 made baskets, normally you would say that's not necessarily reflective of great offense. But I think tonight it was just reflective of aggressive offense. Caleb Banks had some really good takes. Anthony Walker was great around the rim. He was 4 of 4 from the floor. Kel'el Ware and Malik Reneau combined for 28 points on 21 shots. They also combined for 14 rebounds. Again, Indiana wasn't perfect. And I think we keep kind of going back to this refrain. This is a team that is clearly rough around the edges, is clearly trying to figure out different ways to win. And frankly, we may be kind of calcifying some opinions about this team. Like, for example, they may really not be a very good three-point shooting team, or at least a very prolific three-point shooting team for most of this season. But they held Michigan to 47% from the floor. They held Michigan to 4 of 17 from behind the three-point line. They matched Michigan in rebounds, actually had one more offensive rebound with one fewer second-chance point. And they really, the one thing that I think is probably becoming clear about Indiana, as much as anything else, no, they don't shoot or make a ton of threes. But I think they know that. And I think they appreciate the extent to which they have players like, I don't think it's by accident that Indiana's front court tonight, Mackenzie Mbako, Malik Reneau, Kel'el Ware, 11 points, 15 points, 13 points, respectively. They understand where they make their money offensively. And they really, really push the ball to those guys. I think they're learning more and more where those players need the ball in terms of, where Malik Reneau wants the ball versus where Kel'el Ware wants the ball. I think Mackenzie Mbako is getting a lot better. I want to say this is 3 straight games in double-figure scoring for him. I think he's understanding more and more where and how to get his points in this offense. And, you kind of forget, because of how much it feels like all of Indiana's sort of work is focused in the paint. You forget that in a game like this, or in a game like Maryland, where obviously Indiana pretty comfortably beat a pretty bad Maryland team, they don't have Xavier Johnson in this game. Their point guard, one of their best facilitators, probably their best guard finisher, and possibly their best perimeter defender. I think he may well be back soon, but he wasn't ready for tonight. The other thing you have to say about Indiana, they have not looked perfect by any means, and we've talked about that. We've written that. I'm sure all of you have seen that. But they keep winning, and you can't argue with 7-1. You can't argue with 2-0 in the Big Ten. They probably got Maryland at a good time. They probably got Michigan at a good time. But they do keep winning. And for a team that is clearly still a work in progress in a lot of very sort of fundamental ways, to be finding your way to results when you're not maybe at the best or most complete version of yourself as a team, that says something. And you can probably, Mike Woodson, maybe he'd admit this publicly, maybe he wouldn't. There's probably some value in Indiana already, having played those games against Florida Gulf Coast and Army and Wright State. When you talk about the way Indiana closed out Louisville, when you talk about the second half against Harvard, when you talk about down the stretch in this game, I mean, Indiana was trailing. I'm looking up here for Michigan's last lead. Michigan's last lead was 70-69 with 3.5 minutes left. So Indiana was trailing for basically all of the second half until there were about 3.5 minutes left to play. I think they may have taken a brief lead there. I think they traded the lead back and forth a little bit. There were 12 lead changes in this game, but the point is, Indiana spent a lot of the second half kind of chasing the game on the scoreboard, and yet when it was time to sort of make the winning plays, it was Mackenzie Mbako, who is a perfect 17 of 17 from the free throw line. It was Malik Renew with some tough finishes. It was Kalel Ware giving you good moments. It was Trey Galloway knocking down some free throws. Indiana's had to play games like this. And maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they would have liked to have beaten a Florida Gulf Coast or an Army more comfortably, but they've had to play games like this, and I think it showed. I think there was a certain poise, a certain comfort, and a certain recognition of what it was going to take to win this game in maybe those last 2, 3, 4 minutes. And Indiana did it. So, again, 7-1, 2-0 in Big Ten play. They have Auburn in Atlanta on Saturday. I will see all y'all, as we say in Atlanta, at Mary Mac's Tea Room at some point this weekend. But between now and then, for the Indianapolis Star, I'm Zach Osterman. Again, Indiana 78, Michigan 75. Hoosiers are 7-1. They're 2-0 in the Big Ten. We'll talk to you soon.